If Eric is training his chest and triceps once a week, this workout makes some sense as far as the volume. If he's training his chest and triceps the more recommended twice a week, I have no idea how he's actually recovering from this much volume. Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for Renaissance Periodization. I'm a professor of sport and exercise science and a competitive bodybuilder, though I'm not so good at a lot of things in life. Bodybuilding is one of them, but today I am reviewing the videos of someone who is significantly better than me at bodybuilding and also at just being a total freak. Eric Janicki, with a last name that makes a Polish person blush. Just kidding, there's 18 fewer vowels than I expected. Let's see what his training looks like. This guy is a top nationally ranked amateur, though no doubt soon to be pro, super heavyweight bodybuilder. That means he weighs something like 290 in the off season. I think he's stepping on stage somewhere in the 250s or 260s at what looks like to be about, I don't know, I'm guessing at this point, but 5'11"-ish or 6 feet tall or something like that. Let's take a look at how his training is. He's huge on the gram, by the way. I do believe he's on YouTube as well, so give him a follow if you like what you see. What are we going to see here, Dr. Mike? You may ask yourself right now. Let's find out. That is 10 plates. That's a lot of plates. I actually know that exact leg press. I own one. It is the Arsenal leg press, and I would say it's in the discussion for the best leg press, period. It allows you to get really, really deep. It's ultra smooth. It's got an adjustable back plate. So let's see what this range of motion is like. It looks nonsensical. Wow, that is crazy depth. All right, so you can see that his heels are still on that plate, and his butt isn't coming off of that back seat whatsoever. His chest is high, his tummy is out, and his knees are moving just to the outsides of his torso, kind of into his armpits. This is incredible, incredible technique. Incredibly rare to see, and you will almost never see this with 10 plates. Eric's a freak, but he's also a technique mastermind, so it makes this doubly, triply better to watch, because when someone's putting 10 plates on leg press, if you're betting on it, you can make good money on average just betting that they're gonna suck, because 10 plates is just, it's just too much weight to be done properly by most people. Eric is not most people by a long shot. This is incredible work. Oh, he locked out. He's gonna die. Nope, still alive. Look at that eccentric control. His movement on the way down is slow, getting all that juice out of the muscles, getting that hypertrophy maximally stimulated and making it very safe. He keeps his chest up at the bottom. As a matter of fact, as he goes down, he raises his chest, which gives you even more flexion in all of the right joints. We're not trying to come down and get all sort of in between ourselves. It's good to open up, to expose your quads to the tension. This is one of the ways to leg press, very close to perfect way to leg press for maximum gains in the quads, and it'll even hit your glutes too, because holy shit.
Push day, full off-season mode right now, so trying to get absolutely enormous. So I'm going to walk you through.
Eric, you're already absolutely enormous. I guess more enormous.
Everybody's like, why don't you start with a heavy press? I really like starting with a fly movement for a couple reasons. It really opens up the chest, makes me feel a lot more primed for my pressing movements. Second reason is that fatigue. I want to build up a little bit of fatigue, which sounds strange going into my pressing movements. The reason for that is my goal is growth, hypertrophy. So if I can actually lift less weight on my presses, put myself at less risk, because pressing, you're obviously stronger than a fly position. So if I can pre-fatigue, I don't have to press as heavy. That way, when my presses come, I maybe can do 70%, 60%, maybe 80% of what I could have done if I had started with that exercise.
What he has on there, it says pre-fatigue early on to mitigate heavy loads later. This allows for less risk of injury, and it's probably true. What it also allows is for you to do less chronic wear and tear on the joints. Just putting heavy loads on your joints is a fatiguing element. And over many, many years of training, if you have good fatigue management, it doesn't add up and it just makes you stronger. But we don't always have great fatigue management. So if you can reduce the amount of weight you have to lift, then what ends up happening is instead of having 500 pounds worth of chronic exposure with your knees or your shoulders or your elbows, you have 400 pounds on average as the weight you're lifting for those joints. And that tends to expand the lifter's longevity. It tends to reduce the probability of aches and pains later down the line, and it allows you to reach a higher total level of muscularity because you are less likely to be hindered by your, just joints being a piece of shit and you gotta work around them and stuff like that. You don't want to get into that position to begin with. So what you do instead is sometimes, especially for bigger and stronger folks, people starting out first 5 years of lifting, you just go compounds first, no problem. Isolations first for folks as jacked as Eric, of which there are 3 in this world or something, and folks even less jacked than that are a really, really sharp idea. So he's right on with this stuff.
And what I'm going to do is just continually open up using this exercise. So when I say open up, I want to hold that stretch position. Really feel that chest really opening, that tissue stretching under load.
I have one technique correction for Eric and for anyone watching who wants to replicate this. The way to open up your chest most is not to come up as the opening is happening. It's to go the other way. It's to come down. So as he's coming up with his hands into the fly, he should be coming down with his chest. And then on the way back up, if he wants to do some body movement, he can just stay down there. He can come back to the close and come up. So the reverse of what he's doing with his upper body, when you are expanding your chest, lean down because you're leaning into the expansion and not away from it. This will help you expand more. You won't be able to use as much load, but that's exactly to Eric's plan.
All right, exercise 2, we're going to do our first pressing movement. So I'm gonna bring this around. I've got a bench set on 90 degrees.
Oh, yeah, I gotta say, this is a fine exercise, but it's so annoying to set up. You gotta walk that shit around, all that. You gotta wheel a bench into the shit. God bless this man for taking all the time to do that shit.
Probably one of my favorite pressing movements. What I'm gonna do is start almost palm supinated, push back, stretch, drive out, and turn the palms over. So we're gonna go either neutral, whatever's comfortable for you, come back, stretch at the back, or if you wanna get even more stretch, do that pec minor, come back to supinated, press out, and squeeze.
This is very good. I'll say the rotating is almost certainly not mandatory, and if it takes a lot of your attention away from doing high quality reps for the actual joints involved, I wouldn't do it. Eric's been at this a long time, so he can make all the synergy work. Another thing I would say is if you want to grow the most, your training needs to be hard and smart. RP Hypertrophy app will make sure you're progressing on track, monitoring and adjusting your workout at all times. So for all that work you're doing, you can be sure you're getting the best results. Another thing I would say is if he could get his chest up a little bit and expand the entire range of motion, especially at the bottom, he's kind of collapsing a little bit at the bottom. If he could expand a little bit, that would be awesome. But this is A work. It's just not A+ work. 90% of my training is C- work. That's why I get to say shit like this.
Oh, it burns so bad.
I got intense.
Hitting partial reps in a stretch position is extremely efficacious for hypertrophy. When you're opened up, you're actually hitting a ton of chest. So if you can do some partials in that stretch position, a lot of times you actually drive in more hypertrophy than if you hit partials here at the most contracted position.
Totally true. Excellent points. It is in fact the case that lengthened partials at the big stretch position, have been validated so far by science, and it's just about 5 studies so far, so it's plenty of research, to be more hypertrophic than certainly partials at the top end, and maybe even in some cases the entire range of motion. So when you hit, if you're training on a plan that allows you to go to failure, what you can do absolutely is after you hit concentric failure and can't lock the shit out anymore, you can get a couple of reps, however many you can, in that bottom half, bottom third of the movement that can continue to push your muscles, huge amounts of stimulus, but in a way that's ratioed very, very well to the fatigue. Is going beyond failure always a smart idea? Probably not. Something you save for a rainy day here and there, maybe at the end of a mesocycle. But if and when you are able to drive to failure, finishing with some lengthened partials, if the exercise allows for it safely, really, really great idea.
Obviously, you don't have to take every set to failure.
Hey, I beat him to it.
So what we're gonna do next is an incline bench fly, kind of for upper chest.
So I'll say something, because now I'm looking at his physique and, well, I'm getting erect.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
He looks big, right? He looks big. You gotta see him in real life. In real life, Eric is a f***ing monster. There is a difference between real life physique and YouTube Instagram physique. I am in the latter category. If you ever meet me in real life, you'd be like, dude, this guy's 5'2". And he says he weighs 240, but he f***ing doesn't weigh any more than 160. Who knows how much I weigh? I could be making it all up. Eric in real life is enormous. Enormous. Just know this. All right, incline bench cable fly. 3 sets of 12 to 20, even more flies, good God.
So we're gonna reach back for it, push consciously through the chest, and squeeze the hands into like a shape of a V, the letter V at the top of your rep.
V for Vendetta. Scott, your opinions on Natalie Portman?
Ugly.
You're a liar. This is an excellent exercise for the upper pecs, and Eric is demonstrating it flawlessly.
So reach back for it, push up, squeeze, and stick.
Notice how he's descending under control and slowly to get everything out of the movement that he can. There is no rush. In hypertrophy training, there is no rush.
Sit upright, and we're gonna hit more true upright flies here. For 10, a little faster.
So the little faster stuff is just personal preference, getting that animal on. But I guess he's stronger in flat flies, which makes sense than incline flies. So first he does the incline fly, gets close to failure, and then the superset is he sits upright and does flat flies, and then he hits the shit up. The only reason he can stay upright like this in this position is because his ass is enormous and acts as a counterweight to the shit. If you ever see it in real life, my God, and I have. My God, it was wonderful. But yeah, this is a cool thing. I'd say probably, if I was doing this video, I'd keep the cadence the same. But if you want to switch it up a little bit and go faster, there's nothing wrong with that. Follow your spirit guide. All right, folks, if this is going pretty well, we have extra, super extra content that's extra in the members area. So give that a click and see if you want to pay us money to get extra content. It's extra.
I like this push down variant on the incline bench. So what I'm gonna do is set up the bench, same thing, about 33 degree, same as I had it for the last exercise. I'm gonna stretch at the top, keep those elbows pinned down, push out and squeeze.
This is a great exercise. It's awesome variation to the regular cable pushdown. It does almost the identical thing. One of the reasons I almost never use it is because if I have to wheel a bench to something, I'm so f***ing lazy that I just don't even bother. I almost never set up these weird angles. Eric loves to set up the shit. God bless him. To me, this is a bit too much. But it's a very effective exercise, and he's got really great advice about keeping those elbows tucked in so the tricep is doing the work. You see he's stretching all the way up at the top. Great stuff.
We're gonna superset that with about a 30-second rest with some dips. Still getting good tempo here.
You guys, he weighs like 285 or some shit in this video. Let's look at these dips. If they're remotely full range of motion after a pre-exhaust, I don't know what the f to do with myself.
Dips are a little harder. I'm about 287 pounds.
Yeah, I called it.
But we're gonna do it. I'm gonna go 12 to 15 with really good tempo. So triceps already burning. Slow eccentric. Stretch, drive out.
Holy crap. My only critique here is this is unreal impressive, super awesome technique. My only critique here is the little bounce at the bottom. It's totally fine to do. I think it's probably needlessly adds a little bit of injury risk probability. But it's a small matter if you're used to it and you're doing it this way for quite some time. But yeah, this is really excellent technique. I would love to see it be slow all the way down through and then come back up in a normal fashion and not an explosive kind of plyometric fashion. Unreal dip technique, super deep. Notice the slow control on the way down. Wonderful.
By supersetting those, already a lot of fatigue built up, so getting that really big stretch.
If you try this at home, you may realize that after a set of any kind of tricep movements, you'll be able to do like 3.5 dips and then no more. This is for ultra strong people, especially ratioed to their body weight. Many people would benefit from doing dips first and then some more isolation work. If you can do isolation work first and then dips, God bless you, that's a great way to do it.
Next one, supersetting deficit push-ups with the incline fly. So we're gonna start with the incline dumbbell fly. Big stretch to the chest, reach it back, big open chest, and then fly up. So a lot of people will stop their flies about here. What you wanna do is really open up the chest, arch the back, dig those elbows back.
If Eric is training his chest and triceps once a week, this workout makes some sense as far as the volume. If he's training his chest and triceps the more recommended twice a week, I have no idea how he's actually recovering from this much volume. Now, he seems to be recovering from it just fine. What I would say to anyone who wants to emulate this workout is start with like 1/3 the number of sets and probably about half the number of exercises that he's doing. See if you can recover on time from your training for that next session. If you can, you're golden. Do it again, keep going, do a little bit more volume, add a couple sets here and there. And then later on in your program, maybe in your life, think about adding an exercise. But properly training, high effort, the number of people that can survive, 8 exercises that he's doing on his push day is super, super minimal. As a matter of fact, most people, systemic fatigue, the overall drain on all of your body systems from a workout with this many working sets is going to be so insane after about 3 or 4 exercises that most of the rest is just going to be junk volume. So just because Eric can do this doesn't mean the rest of us can. As a matter of fact, the rest of us probably should not be training this much in a given session. I lost track of how many chest working sets he's done already. It's got to be over 16.
Push up and squeeze. So I'm gonna go here, widen out these dumbbells.
Oh my God, he's elevating his feet, which makes it actually sort of an incline push-up. It looks like a decline, but biomechanically it's an incline for your chest. This is really gnarly. Good God, this is really maximum stimulus being delivered here. Notice, slow on the way down, milking that stretch, and then coming back up.
All right, so that was a wrap. Full push day, absolutely destroyed.
All right, that was awesome. I would rate Eric's training like a 97% out of 100. This is A+ work. Is there room for improvement on very minor technical grounds? Absolutely, and there is with me too. On my best day, I might score a 97 on a workout. 100 is, oh man, that would be something. This is about as good as it gets. If you need an enormous, jacked, famous, popular bodybuilder to emulate that isn't a person who has the intellect which leads them to struggle to tie their shoes and write letters with a fucking marker, Eric is your man. This is someone to look at and go, okay, I want to train like that. You're going to train like it. You're not going to be very strong. It's going to hurt your muscles a ton. But as you get stronger, you'll realize that you are essentially joint pain free, highly mobile, and getting more and more jacked over time. Guys, this is the way to do it. Huge, as they say, in the United Kingdom. Big ups to Mr. Eric Janicki. Give him a follow on Instagram, give him a follow on YouTube. And I actually recommend going to the Los Angeles area and following him around in real life. Make sure you stay a couple 100 feet away because he is very giant and very muscular and very scary. But I will say I have stared through his living room window many, many hours on many cold nights, and it's worth every single minute. Anyway, see you guys next time. All right, if you guys like this video, this one right here that YouTube says you should watch is a must. Click on it or else.